two people are arrested for a crime. They're held in separate rooms, and they're both told by the police that they are going to be found guilty. They're going to get 5 years in prison. If they flip on the other person, they'll get 0 years, and the other person is going to get 10. But only the first person who does that gets the 0 years. If person B flips before person A, and person A flips, they still get the 10 years.
This goes out to the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
1 week later, still hard as a rock. Look at that. Pointing northeast.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I mean, not at all, really. If you go flat, that's southwest.
Yeah, I mean, relative to a two-dimensional surface, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. It should not take over 40 minutes to get from the store to Best Buy to pick up an already purchased item and then here to the studio.
It's just how long it takes when you're driving around the city.
It really does. I mean, everybody's out and about. Plenty of times, like, oh, I can't make this turn. There's pedestrians. Oh, no, there's a dog walker. No,
Yeah.
Yeah, it made this night start much later than I anticipated. But why was I at Best Buy, Dal?
Why, Patrick?
Because when I came into work this morning, our receiver was not receiving. That's a bad way to phrase it.
It is.
It is, in fact, it could turn on.
Okay.
It got power. Switched between all of the
inputs,
appropriate inputs. Nothing played.
Weird. What fixes did you try?
Turned it off and on again.
Okay.
Unplugged it.
Okay.
Threw it against the wall.
Okay.
Kicked it a whole bunch.
Sure. None of that helped?
No.
Weird.
Also, then it got dented. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, it was probably something Kent did the day before.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying this is Kent's fault.
However,
it just wouldn't turn on. Like, it wouldn't play when I got in this morning.
Weird. What happened Wednesday night, the last night that you worked? Did it work?
It sure did.
What happened Friday morning, the next morning that you worked?
Well, hold on, Dal.
Patrick?
Weren't you and I in the store on Thursday?
We both were, it's true.
Wasn't it playing music?
Definitely was at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah. So...
I mean, it was playing Devo, so I don't know if that counts.
This is
Rude.
the third...
Rude to say about Devo.
This is the third version of this same receiver we have bought.
Yeah.
However, one of them doesn't count because it was bought for a different store.
True. And
got stolen.
Yeah.
But the previous one in this location had the same problem where, and here's what broke the last one. When you are using it for Bluetooth, when you're streaming stuff off your phone, you got to crank the volume.
I guess.
I mean, significantly higher than you have it set when it's just an auxiliary jack input.
I mean, when it's an auxiliary input, I think, what do you usually keep it at, like 21 or 22?
22, yeah.
I mean, I would put a Bluetooth streamed sound at 25.
Okay, well...
So I don't crank it up to like 30 or whatever.
The last iteration of this receiver died happened because it was a Friday morning and I had switched over to auxiliary and just pressed play, forgetting to lower it.
Oof.
And it blew it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a thing where, and we might have to talk to Ken about this, like, I have the volume on my phone turned up all the way.
Yeah, same.
So the receiver doesn't have to
go that high.
Accommodate that. Like, it doesn't have to amplify something to make it audible. The phone's already doing that. I wonder if Kent is doing the same thing. If he has, like, if he's doing something off of YouTube and it's just really low, and he just turns up the volume on the receiver to make it loud enough, that's going to be damaging to the receiver.
Well, I think part of it is also that you are streaming purchased music that you own.
It doesn't really matter.
Okay, but I'm saying...
I just stream off the music app. He streams off of YouTube.
Right, so I'm saying the quality of the recordings on YouTube could be a lot less.
They could, but it doesn't really matter. Like, it's more just a matter of, like, how loud is he turning it up, and then what's the problem? Like, we'd have to work backwards from there.
I've just listened to a lot of things on the internet, like especially older stuff.
Okay.
Where the bit rates aren't as high. Like it's not, the recording isn't loud enough.
Sure.
So I don't know for a fact that he broke it. But I'm assuming that.
Yeah, probably.
And I'm assuming that we'll just forbid him from using the new one.
Just take it home with you on
That's
Wednesday
fair.
nights.
That's fair.
Get back up Friday morning.
Yeah. That's fine. We'll just unplug it. He won't notice.
Sure.
Then we'll say he broke that one as well. I don't want this to be a standard, here's all the things Ket did wrong this week.
However.
Oh, it's not going to be, but
Okay.
let's just say we both have just cause where it could be
Yeah.
considerably longer
Yeah.
of a topic.
Yeah.
And for people who listen to this podcast and have never met Kent, Kent's a really nice guy.
Okay.
You don't think he's nice?
Sure, I think he's nice.
All right. But your okay was, if you say so. And he's a smart guy. I did have someone today in the store. Oh man, I don't even know if I can say this. They may listen. I'm not going to name them, but they may recognize it as theirs.
Okay.
Oh.
Or just don't tell it.
Yeah, it's fine.
You can just not tell it.
It was the line of the day, though.
Okay.
It was unironic line of the day.
Okay.
Here's another topic that came up, and we brought in customers' opinions on it. How would you feel if your significant other frequently referred to you as bro?
Not good.
Right?
Not good. Wow.
I
don't think they would. I mean, if they were doing that from like when I first started dating them, they would not become a significant other.
Yeah.
And if in a late stage of the relationship there was something like, oh, I think I'm just going to call my husband bro, I'd be like, why is this lady doing that?
Okay.
Why is she calling me bro?
In this scenario, it is the male calling the female bro.
Yeah, that's not any better.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not better either way.
No. I was just using it from my own personal experience
Right.
as an example. But yeah, I mean, if I was a lady and I was with somebody and they were like calling me bro,
Come on, bro.
I would have
Come on.
I would have a lot of problems with that. Like, it might be funny one time, but then it's like, okay, it's not funny anymore. Please stop doing that.
When we brought it to the customer poll, one person had said, well, is it an in-joke between the two people?
Well,
no. It is not being ironic.
Am I also their brother? Yeah, no, that sounds...
Later,
that sounds irritating.
And for the record, this is no one who works for or at Challengers is the person calling anybody else bro.
Good, because then we probably have to fire somebody.
Right. So it's just somebody that somebody knows.
We're going to put that in the handbook. Like, you are not allowed to date somebody or be married to someone and call them bro.
Right. And
even if they're your brother.
Later in the day, Gina had mentioned her brother. I go, no, see, there you could call him bro.
Yeah.
And she said, I won't.
Uh-huh.
Bro. What if... Hold on.
Uh-huh. What if it were Matt Riddle?
What if you were... No, it's just Riddle. What if you're dating Riddle?
Uh-huh. Well, that would be a problem to begin with, just on the face of it.
Yeah.
And then drilling further into it, like, certainly, like, him calling you bro would be on brand, but it would just... We'd have to double back to the original thing of, like, why are you dating Riddle? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that either.
Also, a quick internet search will tell you why you definitely should not be.
Just beyond his whole general aesthetic. I mean, I'm sure there's things he's done as a human being that I would be even more aghast at, but just seeing him as a human being more than once was like, oh no, that's enough.
Well, it is yes to both of those things. Moving on from Riddle and jokes. And, I saw somebody did a small, like, half-hour Batman film.
Yeah.
They wrote and directed themselves. Mm-hmm. The guy who wrote it and co-directed it also played the Joker.
Okay.
But they had a couple of big names.
Uh-huh.
Michael Madsen was...
Okay.
Any guesses?
Oh, Commissioner Gordon?
No.
Alfred?
Come on.
Oh,
You were super close with the first guess.
Bullock?
Harvey Bullock.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, Harvey Bullock.
That's fine.
With this weird gold earring.
Sure, Harvey Bullock makes tons of bad choices. That's like his main thing.
The Riddler.
Uh-huh.
And the riddle that he never answered was, what's yours, but everyone else uses? Like I'm saying, he never answered it in this. I assume it's your name.
Yeah, that would be where my head would go, but without knowing the context of what's going on in the story or whatever.
Nothing. Batman walked by his cell in Arkham.
It's like an Arkham Asylum Silence of the Lambs thing or whatever? Okay, great. Was the Riddler Tim Roth? I'm just assuming it's all like people from Reservoir Dogs at this point.
I mean, was Doug Jones in Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah, he played Lawrence Tierney. It was all CG. Like
yes.
He did another thing where it was like they composited Lawrence Tierney over him.
Yeah, Doug Jones was a Riddler cameo.
Okay, that's cool. He's a good Riddler.
It was basically just a psychological Batman Joker story.
Yeah, you know why? Those are cheaper to film.
Yeah, because it was a box episode.
Sure.
If you will.
Once again, cheaper to film.
Yeah, right?
Not that there's a better way to segue into this, but did you hear what the card is for AEW Dark Elevation's first episode?
Yeah, it's really good.
Did you hear what the main event match is? That we have to now watch AEW Dark Elevation, at least episode 1?
I didn't know it was a main event, but I know
main event match.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
What? I thought Elevation was the lesser talents.
I seriously think it's just going to be like half and half. Like they're just taking Dark and then breaking it into 2 shows over 2 nights.
Yeah, but then there's I don't know.
Because it's like...
All right, look, we just got away from wrestling.
No, I don't care. Danny Limelight against Jungle Boy.
Right.
That's a solid match. Brandon Cutler versus Powerhouse Hobbs.
Right.
I'm sure there's other ones, but Maki Ito versus Riho is a main event match. Is insane. So I feel like
continuing Maki Ito's string of losses in AEW.
Fine. She's always entertaining. What do I care? I bought a Brandon Cutler shirt when he won 1 match. Actually, it was a gift. I did buy it, and then it was a gift. But no,
Are you sure it wasn't a joke? Are you sure you would wear that?
Are you sure I'm someone who actually likes Brandon Cutler and want a Brandon Cutler t-shirt?
Also, what about a polo?
What about a shirt that's very large? No, I feel like Dark is just going to be like an hour long now, and Elevation's going to be an hour on the previous night, and they're still just going to have the same amount of content or whatever. Which is, I mean, good if you want to consider Elevation as something I would want to maybe watch on a regular basis, to not go to like 3 hours of Dark every week would be amazing. But anyway, the Maki Ito thing was very exciting to see.
Yeah, I mean, Maki Ito will basically be Challenger's mascot for a long time.
Sure. I mean, they're getting their money's worth out of her airfare. God.
Yeah.
It's been like 4 things in like a week.
She is irreplaceable in the group. She's irreplaceable. She's a very important part. When it comes to Anna, let's just be honest, guys. No woman could ever replace Anna.
It's true.
Huh? What's that?
Surprise, motherfucker!
Good for her.
Hey, Dow, one of the things we have hanging up around the store are prints that we had commissioned.
Correct.
For art shows we used to do.
Yeah, in the Rogues Gallery, the space that is currently Sidekicks.
Yeah, from, late 2010 to sometime in 2012.
Yeah.
9 years ago now.
Jeez, yeah.
When we had this art gallery, we made these prints, and we... That
was fun.
We
art
did
gallery.
Between 1 and 200 copies of the prints.
Who did we do 200 for?
We did... Maybe I'm thinking of the book plates were 200.
Yeah, the book plates definitely went to a higher number for some of them.
All right. We use a variety of different printers to get these prints done.
Yeah.
And some of them came out really great. Some of them are really thick stock.
Yeah.
Some of them sold out. Like, we were long out of Jenny Frizzens and Eduardo Rissos.
People point at Six Gun, Scotty Young.
Yeah. Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
And some of them were reused illustrations, but some of them were original, just for us.
Yeah, I remember when, and like, one of the ideas that we'd had at a point was like, if we did an art show and we did a print for that art show, when the graphic novel comes out, we'll just ask the artist, like, hey, do you mind if we reuse that for a book plate? It's like relatively the same dimensions. And we would then, ship them out, and they'd sign them and number them, and we'd put them in books. We did that with Matt Kent for when the My Management collection was coming out, because we did a print for the issue 1 and 2 art show. And we're like, hey, do you mind if we use this print that you did that we sold out of to do a book plate? And he's like, what if I just did a new book plate?
Yeah.
We said, Matt Kent, you're a lunatic.
Yep. And doing real well for us right now, Matt Kent.
Yeah, it's true.
So the goal was to sell these prints to kind of recoup our losses, because at that point we weren't taking any money from the artists for any art that sold, and we were flying everybody out, putting them out. Flying everybody out, putting them up, paying for food and things like that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of money out on our end.
Yeah, the financial estimate that we have is basically like, if we sell out of 100 prints over a month, that pays for all of the costs incurred for the gallery.
Yeah.
That's the rent for the space. That's it's part of the utilities. That's, again, the flying out, the putting up, the dinner, the party, all of that stuff. So, like, the thought when we'd had the gallery in our minds before it was even finished was like, oh, all you got to do is sell 100 prints. And these are big name artists. This isn't like, local people who have never done a book. These are your Stuart Immonens. These are your, again, Scotty Young and Amy Reeder and people who had
Raphael Albuquerque.
Right, big names, international names. So 100 prints was like, that seems like a gimme.
Well, and we sold them for $10 a piece. We mentioned over the years some have sold out. A lot haven't.
Well, yeah, I would say maybe less than half have sold out.
So we still have,
which is why we don't have a gallery.
and I don't remember how many prints we made total, but we still have 14 prints available.
Okay.
14 different artist prints. And we were selling them at the time for $10. Well, we donated 2 sets of prints to a charity auction recently.
That's right.
And I had to package them up and send them out to the winner today.
Yeah.
And one person won, or bid on and won both sets.
Oof.
So 14 prints
Uh-huh.
times 2, so 28 prints
28 prints.
that we would sell for $10 each. So
Initially, but not anymore.
$280 worth of prints.
Yeah, ish.
Can you guess what the winning bid was for the combined total of 28 prints?
$50.
So your final guess?
Yeah.
Add 10.
$60.
Times it by 10.
$600?
$600.
Man, charity.
$600.
Yeah, wow.
For prints that
We're not even selling those for $10
that
now.
we are not. I mean, I'm building to that. You
Oh, okay.
always kind of jump ahead and get to where I'm going.
Sorry.
As I slowly craft my tale.
Maybe if we had more coordination with this, I would know not to step
You
on your
never
line.
come to the meetings.
It's true.
You never come to the podcast rehearsal meetings.
I'm not on the Slack channel where we discuss this ahead of time.
So really, $140
Yeah.
worth of prints.
Yeah.
$600.
It's charity.
But no, here's what I think it is.
Uh-huh.
You and I thought these were a big deal.
True. We did a whole gallery about them.
Right. Other retailers around the country
Uh-huh.
also think it's a good idea and a big deal.
Uh-huh.
The people that shop with Challengers have seen these prints for upwards of
A decade. I'll be honest. I mean, they're available online and have been for a long time.
Sure.
We started charging $10 for them on eBay because just the whole packing and shipping of them is such a pain that doing them for $5 is like, this is not worth my time. And then almost as soon as we raised them to $10, people went, ooh, I want these.
Yeah.
So, but even then, like... we
Raise them to 20.
Yeah, right. We only sell, I mean, on eBay, which has a lot of people looking, I'd say we sell maybe 2 prints a month, maybe. And that's with a global audience of eBay. And I mean, we ship domestically, and like people could get them shipped internationally, but I'm sure it's way too expensive. But like even domestically, as in every single comics fan in the United States, we're still only selling 2 prints a month.
Sure.
Yeah, the gallery, I wish it made more sense financially.
Sure,
but,
I know. This isn't meant to be a reminiscent of the gallery.
Right.
This is just...
But I mean, you could say that about literally every gallery in America. Like, I don't imagine most gallery owners are like, oh my god, I make money hand over fist. It's so reliable. Everything's selling out. It's like, I'm sure they're all like, I don't know why no one buys any of these. I'm totally taking a huge risk. I'm lucky I have mom and dad's money to help get me through this. Like, yeah, so we're probably just the comics version of all those people where it's like, why didn't anyone want this thing that everybody wants some other version of?
Do you remember we won Best Art Show for Becky Cloonan?
Mm-hmm. Best New Gallery.
And Best New Gallery, both in the Reader's Best of Awards.
Yeah.
And we had another gallery furious at us.
Yeah, I'll never
and
forget that
call
phone
us.
call.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been open for? We opened up in 2008. Well, then you're not really a new gallery, are you? Click. We are a comic shop.
Yeah.
The gallery is less than a year old.
You didn't ask. You just said we, so we assume. Yeah. Oh man. Also, those new bags that I got, the print bags that we got from Southern Hobby.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'll bust into a package and use these to package these up.
Sure.
They are print bags,
Uh-huh.
but they're not what I thought.
How's that?
First of all, they're much thicker material,
Really?
and they're about a solid 2.5 inches taller than the print
Okay.
because there's a built-in handle.
Oh, interesting.
So it's as if you are selling these at a show and people need to carry them around.
oh,
Here you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably why they were created.
So it's a little bit stiffer.
Because you have people who are selling 11 by 17 prints, and not everyone
Yeah.
brings like a portfolio. So it's like, how do I carry this around for the rest of my weekend?
So I was able to fit each set in one bag.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's a different thing. So now those are, because I took 2 out of that package.
Yeah.
They are on top of the filing cabinet.
Well, I'm glad that raised $600 for charity.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then we also, because we're very generous
You are, yes.
and we're good at giving money away,
I am, yes.
we chose to.
It's really two different skills if you think about it.
It is, yeah.
Yours is generosity. Mine's just like, I feel guilty taking money.
So we chose to pay the shipping out of our own pocket
Uh-huh.
because the foundation would have refunded the shipping. It's like, no, we'll donate the shipping.
Yeah, of course.
Don't take the money. Don't take money out of.
Don't take charity money to pay costs.
Yeah.
Don't do
Yeah.
that. Give it to somebody.
Yeah, but I was blown away by
Oh
the
my
fact
god,
that
yeah. I would not have thought they would even go for, like, the initial value of them.
yeah.
I'm like, there's no way they're even going to go for $240, let alone multiples of that.
One of the higher raising items at the auction, not counting things like a full page ad in a Boom comic, which was like $4,000.
So was it going to a store? Was it going to a collector? Do you know?
It was a store. Everybody bidding were retailers.
Okay, so this is like the Comics Pro auctions and stuff.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, okay. It was just the New Year's version of that.
It was the Comics Pro auction.
Right, but like this year's version of that.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I was
I'm sorry.
thinking
You said
about-
New Year's. I'm like,
No, sorry.
no. St. Patrick's Day, I guess.
No, because we had gone to the Comics Pro annual meeting and they did a charity auction
Yeah,
there.
and like that's easy when
that,
we were
that
driving
just
to
happened
Memphis.
on the Zoom version where they were like,
Yeah.
here's the Comics Pro thing, and then now here's a Comics Pro auction.
Last time we donated.
Was it the Bink Foundation? Is that who it was
Yeah.
going to? That's cool.
Last year we donated, last auction we were at, we donated one of my cap shields.
You
some-
donated.
The store did.
It's true. But I mean, that was your personal shield.
Sure, and
But
so
now has a good home where?
I believe John Dudas at Carol and John's comic shop in Cleveland. And then was some comic related Chicago beer. Not Beer Hates Astronauts, but I think the Revival beer.
Okay. Yeah, because that was like the comic strip beer.
Yeah,
where
that was
each
from
one
that
was
was,
like
that was
a
from
different
Arcade.
label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like 5 copies of the 3D Cowboys
Cosmic
Convict Challengers.
What a long name.
I know. I was like, whoa.
The 3D cowboy comic.
The free comic book day one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we donated last time. And we also donated a bunch of stuff for Give Comics Hope.
Okay.
And I told you about it after the fact.
I think it's Give Comic Shoppy.
That one.
Yeah.
And again, this was like, hey, the store did this, but I told you after the fact.
Yeah.
But it was just
Like
all
I was
sorts
going to
of
object or something. Get those back now.
stuff that we did, like exclusive covers and things we had in the back.
Sure.
Like things that don't mean anything to us anymore.
Yeah.
Or things like, oh, that stupid Joker variant cover that we got for destroying those Superman comics.
Oh, yeah.
Like, here, you're going to have 5 of those or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of things that don't mean it as much to us anymore, should we bring the Eisner Award back to the store?
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
I was looking.
I
I was
keep
looking on the
meaning to.
top shelf the other day at something, and I'm like, "Where's the big one we took home because of looting? We were
Yeah.
afraid that someone would steal it or destroy it."
Well, I mean, you
I
gave
did.
it to me, and I have it next to my desk. I look at it every day.
That's great. I just
assumed that space is for where all the new wrestlers are going to go.
Well, I was going to say, like, I feel badly because your desk is running out of space for Marvel Legends figures. So if we take that award away, that's more figures.
It's not
that
on
can
my
fit
desk.
there.
It's on a bookshelf next to my desk.
Because your desk is too full of Marvel Legends figures.
Yeah, basically. And also, Orange Cassidy kind of is infringing in the spot where that used to
Sure.
be. Yeah, I've thought numerous times, like, oh, bring that tomorrow, then I just forget.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of unwieldy. I can put it in my backpack, though. I can bring it in on Sunday.
Yeah, then you get mugged, and what happens?
I defend myself with a giant, heavy plastic
no,
award.
No, you protect it. You curl over it. Look, that is the one thing I want from the store when it all burns.
So, which is why I took it away when we thought the store could possibly burn.
Literally burn.
But wouldn't the award be cooler if there was like a dent in it and like some dried blood?
No.
No, really?
No.
A battle damaged Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailing Award?
This is slightly off topic, but there's a
if
British
it's about Dark Elevation, I'm ready to go.
game show that I watch called Richard Osman's House of Games.
Okay.
The same Richard Osman who just wrote Thursday Murder Club.
What?
Yeah. And
a book's so good you'll get it twice.
It's a week-long game show. It's a panel of 4 people, and at the end of it, the winner gets a trophy with Richard Osman's silhouetted face on it.
Wow, priceless.
But the thing is, they film all 4 episodes back to back to back to back.
Sure.
Or 4 or 5, whatever it is.
Like a lot of game shows.
Sure. And, you know, the contestants take a break, go change their clothes, come back out. Mm-hmm. So, my current favorite comedian, James Acaster, was on it. And it's a general knowledge quiz.
Okay.
But comedians seem to do really well on the show. And you always have, like, a sports person, a comedian, a presenter, and an actor. Okay. Like that. That's usually, like, the mix-up.
What level of actor do they get?
Well, it's different because if I were to say A-list, you would think, like, Tom Hanks.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, it's like, still like a...
British A-list.
Yeah. Like, what, give me an example of what a British A-list actor is.
Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, okay. So, like, film actors. Like, people who are, like, promoting, like, legitimate work.
They've had, like, the entire Jennifer Saunders family on at different points.
Okay, neat.
Jennifer Saunders, Ade Edmondson, their daughter.
Wow.
So anyway,
is their daughter an actor? Is she?
I believe so, or somebody who'd be on the show.
Okay. Anyway,
so James does, like, he wins the first episode, wins the second, and backstage, like, everybody's like, "This show is stupid. I don't know what you're so proud of. You think you're so smart." Like, not that mean, like, "Oh, this doesn't matter." Like, you know, you're having fun, but in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And the other contestants are kind of shitting on him for winning.
Sure. They're losing, and so they're trying to make it like, oh, this doesn't matter.
Right. So, and because this is all filmed over one day, that stuff stays with you. Like, you don't go home and forget about it or whatever.
No, it's literally the next thing
right there.
You're thinking about.
So then he starts to shut down, and then after, like, the third one, a woman won, and then backstage she's like, "Oh my god, this show is so much fun. Look, everybody, I won today."
Unbelievable.
So he wins the whole show.
Sure.
Immediately gets wasted.
Okay.
Like, he's not a big drinker at all, but he went out and drank and got super drunk. Mm-hmm. And he's carrying this trophy home. Mm-hmm. And on the way home, he just beats the shit out of the trophy. And he's just dragging this mangled... And it's a cup. It's a big silver cup.
Because it has to look good on TV.
Yeah. And he's just dragging it home. And then somebody came up and they're like, "What is that?" He's like, "I won this." And they look at it and he goes, "Here!" and just gives it to them.
Sure.
So it's like this big thing of pride. Like, everybody else ruined it.
Yeah.
Ruined his experience, and he just destroyed the trophy. Mm-hmm. So I would not want our Eisner dented and bloody.
But if it had a cool story about, like...
Like, what if it was someone else's blood? That's unsafe. That's unclean.
I'm saying it's exactly someone else's blood. If I was defending myself against, like, a street attack, and I used it to defend myself against an attacker, come on. That'd be so cool.
How dare you?
How dare I defend myself?
Yes. Protect the Eisner. To this day, I'm still disappointed we don't have an actual Eisner. It's not the building with the little
globe
with the little E globe on it.
Yeah. The Daily Planet Award.
Right?
Well, when we eventually win Best Foreign Reprint, we'll get a real one.
That's right. Can't wait for it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we still have to try at certain points, but who's to say? This is something that you and I have talked about in the store before, but I don't think we talked about it in the podcast.
Okay.
And it's the fun wording of allocation orders that Diamond has presented us with recently. So I'm specifically referring to the 10-inch Galactus pop vinyl.
Oh, sure.
Where we placed orders for this item already.
Uh-huh.
And there's an upcoming order cutoff. And Diamond had said to all retailers, hey, this product is being allocated.
Yeah, which means the orders we have now, there are already too many of them to fill all of them. So everyone's going to get less than what they ordered.
So you better up your orders now. You have 2 weeks.
Which makes zero sense because they're already telling you there are not going to be more produced. So if everybody ups their orders, that means everyone gets less than what they originally wanted. Like, you get a smaller percentage of what you want. So, like, if everyone orders 10 and they're like, okay, well, everyone's going to get 8, and everyone's like, okay, cool, I'll double my order to 20, you're still only going to get 8. It just means that 8 is now, like, instead of 80% of what you ordered, now it's 40% of what you ordered.
Yeah, but I wonder if that shifts the algorithm, or that's the wrong word, but the percentage. So if you ordered 10 and I ordered 4, and then I'm getting 1 and you're getting 2 with the current allocation, and then you say, no, fuck it, I'm going to order 80, and I don't change my number.
Well, but this is the thing. Like, I don't remember the name of it, Prisoner's Dilemma, I want to say, but I don't think that's right.
Did you say Prisoner's Dilemma?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's correct. Basically, there's a psychological study, and it's about, like, risk-reward, and the thing is, 2 people are arrested for a crime. They're held in separate rooms, and they're both told by the police that they are going to be found guilty. They're going to get 5 years in prison. If they flip on the other person, they'll get 0 years, and the other person is going to get 10. But only the first person who does that gets the 0 years. If person B flips before person A, and person A flips, they still get the 10 years. So basically, the thing is, like, what is the ideal strategy? And the ideal strategy is, do not flip. Stick at your 5 years. Because you run the risk of
Getting 10 years.
Yeah, you run the risk of getting 10 years. So
you also run the risk of getting no years, but that's unlikely.
Right, exactly. So the idea is if it is Prisoner's Dilemma, look that up online and you'll see
especially if the same cops have to go into the next room and offer that to the person.
The thing. They're doing it to both prisoners.
Simultaneously, you hope.
Yeah. So the idea is you don't know if you're prisoner A, you don't know what prisoner B is going to do, and trying to get that deal, like, the only way it works is if both of you agree to ahead of time to not do this. Like, if you both stick at your number, that's the better outcome. But anyway.
But even if prisoner B sticks, but prisoner A says, nope, I'm flipping, is prisoner B still effed?
Wait, I'm sorry, explain your...
So prisoner A says, yeah, I'm flipping. He did it.
Yeah.
He did it all. But prisoner B says, no, I'm not changing my story.
They get 10 years. Prisoner B gets 10 years.
Okay, so, but he stayed.
Doesn't matter.
But you just said that's the best option is to stay.
So
You mean if they both stay?
Without getting... Yeah, they both have to.
Okay.
Like, that's the idea, is if the two of them have the option of flipping on each other or staying quiet, this is a thing where I'm explaining this badly, and I'm also explaining this very briefly. There is a much longer analysis of the risk-reward and how it works out beneficially to both parties to not flip. But this is a comics industry business podcast, and I don't have that analysis in front of me. So trust me on the idea that the best course of action in a situation like that is to not change your number. Look it up online. I'm almost positive it's called The Prisoner's Dilemma. You can find a greater analysis of it, and maybe between this episode and next episode, I will do a greater reading on it, and I'll save that bookmark to my mobile device where I can call upon it during the next recording, and we can get into a greater discussion about why that works out. Anyway, long story short, so the problem with this is that someone somewhere could conceivably raise their number and then get a bigger percentage of what they were going to get.
Like taking it away from the people that
right.
didn't change
Like,
theirs.
again, basically, if everyone orders 10 and one guy's like, I want 100, that skews the ratio where now, instead of everybody getting 8, everybody's going to get like 6 or 7, and that one guy's going to get 80. Like, he's going to be pulling it from everybody else. But that assumes that only one person does it. But the thing is, if one person does it, the assumption is everyone's probably going to have that same idea, thinking they're the only one taking advantage of this, in which case it helps nobody. So that idea of, you should raise your numbers, like, all you're doing is ensuring that, like, everyone gets a smaller percentage of what they want. But that smaller percentage is the same core number of figures. Like, there are no more to give. So if everyone doubles their orders, you're still getting the number you were going to get before you doubled your order.
Do you think
there's no more to give you?
Once Diamond reached orders to what they had, or once they found out, oh, this is all we're getting, they should have cut orders? Or do you think they're staying open for the people that were like, oh, I would always wait until the last second to place my orders?
I mean, maybe. Like, they know more about the behavior of retailers and how they place their orders. But, yeah, the whole thing is dumb.
It would have been like us saying, hey, to anybody who wanted to get ENIAC #1, we're not going to get enough first prints, so everybody up your orders for your first print. Or, people that haven't ordered it yet, you better order yours now, even though it's too late. Like, I don't understand how that works.
Okay, so it is called...
You said next week. You said you're going to look it up.
I'm going to do it now.
Next week.
And also, this is on Wikipedia, so I think as long as we're not charging for this podcast, I think we're covered under the whatever their copyright thing is.
Well, we also both contribute to Wikipedia every year.
The Prisoner's Dilemma is a standard example of a game analyzed in game theory that shows why two completely rational individuals might not cooperate, even if it appears that it's in their best interest to do so. So here's what it is. Two members of a criminal gang are arrested and imprisoned. Each prisoner is in solitary confinement with no means of communicating with the other. The prosecutors lack sufficient evidence to convict the pair on the principal charge, but they have enough to convict both on a lesser charge. Simultaneously, the prosecutors offer each prisoner a bargain. Each prisoner is given the opportunity either to betray the other by testifying that the other committed the crime, or to cooperate with the other by remaining silent. The possible outcomes are, if A and B each betray the other, each of them serves 2 years in prison. If A betrays B but B remains silent, A will be set free and B will serve 3 years in prison. If A remains silent but B betrays A will serve 3 years in prison and B will be set free. If A and B both remain silent, both of them will serve only 1 year in prison on the lesser charge. Get it?
I do, but all it's saying is be first.
Okay, so here's the strategy. It is assumed that both prisoners understand the nature of the game, have no loyalty to each other, and will have no opportunity for retribution or reward outside the game. Regardless of what the other decides, each prisoner gets a higher reward by betraying the other. The reasoning involves an argument by dilemma. B will either cooperate or defect. If B cooperates, A should defect, because going free is better than serving 1 year. If B defects, A should also defect, because serving 2 years is better than serving 3. So either way, A should defect. Parallel reasoning will show that B should defect. Because defection always results in a better payoff than cooperation, regardless of the other player's choice, it is a dominant strategy. Mutual blah, blah, blah. The dilemma, then, is that mutual cooperation yields a better outcome than mutual defection, but is not the rational outcome because the choice to cooperate, from a self-interested perspective, is irrational. Yeah, and there's a little, if you go to the Wikipedia entry for Prisoner's Dilemma, there's a nice little grid that shows, here is, if A defects or B defects and A defects, how it all works out. And, like, here's the chart, and it basically says right there, as long as A and B stay silent, they both serve 1 year. Every other version, they're each serving anywhere
longer,
like up to 3 years in prison. So it's like there's more versions where it works out badly for them than there are. Like the best outcome is if they both cooperate, or if they both stay silent, if they cooperate with each other. So anyway, that's the Prisoner's Dilemma, and I'm glad we could go into that a little bit on Contest Challengers, Comics Industry Business Podcast.
I guess what they're really saying is only commit crimes with people you absolutely trust.
Exactly. Thank you, Patrick.
Which is a thing that isn't legit. I don't remember exactly how this experiment went, but it was when I was a sophomore in high school, and our teacher, John J. Von Karens, my favorite teacher of all time, even though
his name is my name too.
Freshman year, I said sophomore year. Freshman year. Was it freshman year? I hated him.
Yeah.
By senior year, he was like the greatest person.
That's cool.
He had like a box or a hat or something on his desk with a small opening that could fit your hand.
Okay.
And in it was, and I can't remember if everybody had like $5 in crumpled up in their fist, or no, because the risk was all his. The reward would be ours, but it was basically you go up and there's money in your hand, and you put it in the box. I don't think there's money in your hand. There's money in the box, his money. You make a fist, and you put your hand in the box, and you could take the money and leave it in your hand, like pull it up where nobody could see, because like you're supposed to put your hand in your pocket immediately afterwards. I'm explaining this badly because I don't remember what it was. Like there was a level of integrity and honesty involved in this. Because I think everybody had to bring in $5 for this experiment. I can't remember, but the risk was entirely his.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It sounded like that, and there were definitely people in the class who took his money. Hey, this is a drop in after the fact, because as I was editing this episode, I actually remembered what happened in this experiment. It was the teacher gave everybody $5, so all the money was his. He gave everybody a $5 bill that you crumpled up and put in your hand, and then you were putting your hand in the box so no one can see, and you could either drop the $5 bill or keep it. And then when you pull your hand out of the box, you put it in your pocket right away so nobody knows what happens. And at the end of it, the teacher would count how much was there, so he knew how much started. So you could determine how much money wasn't there. The risk was entirely his. It was his money that he gave everybody. And it was, hey, are you giving it back or not?
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of a lot of these experiments, is that the logical thing to do is also the thing that most people won't do, because it means trusting another person and also allowing that, like, they might not have, like, again, if you're in a situation where, like, if you flip on the other person, you go free, but if you stay quiet, you still get a year, but you're hoping that they will also stay quiet enough that you only get 1 year versus potentially getting 3 years. Like, it's hard to do that. It's hard to be that person, like, to bring this, unfortunately, all the way back to comics retail. It's hard to be the person who's looking at the allocation stuff from Diamond and going, well, you know, I'd rather not artificially blow up the numbers when I'm just going to get whatever I was going to get to begin with. But if I don't buy orders and everybody else does, now I'm going to get less.
Sure.
So it's an arms race where now I have to raise my numbers to accommodate all the other people who are raising their numbers, so I still get what I started with. And the question is, how much do I raise them? And then what number of figures am I going to get now because of that? Like, I only want 10, let's say. And I ordered 10, and now they're like, you're going to get a percentage of that. A non-100% percentage of that, a lower percentage. So it's like, okay, well, I wanted 10. What am I going to get now? 5, 6, 8? So if I order 20, am I going to get 10 now? Or am I going to get 15 that I now are more than what I want? Or am I still going to only get like 7 or 8? Like, that's the problem with this, is like, I don't want to play this game because I have no...
The number that you'll get will go up, but it will go down exponentially in the factor of what you get.
But it might not even go up because it depends on what everyone else is raising it to.
So,
like,
in this scenario...
If I am at 10 and I'm only going to get a lower number than that, and I double it to 20, if everyone else is tripling their number, I'm still going to get a lower number than even my original allocation, because I didn't raise it enough to match everybody else's raise. And that's what makes this whole thing so colossally stupid.
Right. So the moral of this is, if it's for Pokemon cards, you just stop playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, since we're talking about an arms race, I mean, the best moral in this is obviously war games. The only way to win is not to play. So,
but the computer asks you every time, shall we play a game?
I know.
It wants to play.
It's true. Yeah, so I don't feel like raising my numbers on the Pop.
Oh, no, we were never going to.
No matter if that means that now we get 1 instead of 8 or whatever that we ordered.
Well, we have 1 that we need for sure.
Well, hopefully we get that one.
Yeah. So, and it's for a club
It just feels like some
not for us.
Some dumb scheme from Diamond. Like, that's the whole thing of, like, raise your numbers. Like,
well, it goes back to when Bad Idea told us to reduce our numbers. We thought it was a trick.
Yeah. Well, like, and this is I guess the most frustrating element of the Diamond, like, it's getting allocated, raise your numbers. All that's going to lead is to stores getting pissed off, because it's not like Diamond's selling any more of these. They already oversold them. So, like, no store is going to be, like, even if one store is like, I raised my numbers and I got exactly what I wanted, for every one store that does that, you're going to have 9 that are like, I got less than what I wanted because of that guy. So why are you making, like, more stores have to go without because of this?
Here's another example that I don't fully understand. Serial number 2 from Abstract Studios, which is Terry Moore's current book. It features Zoe, who debuted during Rachel Rising.
Okay.
There was an issue with the printer, and the books didn't come out in the full quantity. It was a split shipment.
Okay.
So rather than hold them, Diamond gave them to some accounts first, like, one warehouse first or whatever.
Uh-huh.
What we always consider the West Coast, East Coast split.
They have one Dark Horse all the time.
Which may not be that exact thing, but that's what we assumed it was.
Right.
So, in fact, some stores got it before we did.
Okay.
But we didn't care because it wasn't like stores in our neighborhood.
Yeah, it's issue 2 of cereal.
Right. And so when we got our numbers, we got our quantity.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people, not so many like hundreds, but more people sign up than we expected, so we had none for the shelf. But apparently the book was also allocated to some accounts.
Oh.
And there's people that ordered 1 or 2 that just never got any.
Yeah.
And we got our full amount, which is not a large quantity, but it's more than 2.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how allocations work for things like that. Like, I assume it is basically, let's say there's 100 stores and they each ordered 2 copies of this book, so they need 200.
Mm-hmm.
Diamond only gets 150.
Mm-hmm.
So I presume that everybody gets 1.
Right.
And then they have to figure out how the other difference goes.
Right.
But if in these 100 stores, somebody ordered 10,
mm-hmm.
and then other stores ordered just 1, and then some ordered 2 or 3, blah, 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 I think it's the same thing. Everybody gets 1.
Apparently not.
Then they go back and everybody gets 2, like, blah, blah, like, I don't...
Sure.
I don't know the percentage to which the 10% or what they get. Like, is it a strict percentage or is it a ratio?
Yeah, I guess that's not the case. I mean, like, I think it's... I don't know how they're determining it, because the idea of you can order 1 copy and still get nothing is bizarre to me. But, I mean, the same thing happened with the Pokemon stuff from Southern Hobby, where it's like, whatever you ordered was clearly not enough, because
Right.
you got 0 of them. And we ordered more than 1.
Well, Abstract isn't an FOC publisher, but digging into it, apparently one of the stores that got 0
mm-hmm.
only reordered it.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't. They didn't. Because some
didn't
stores,
do an initial order.
there are some stores
Huh?
that still don't do initial orders.
That's insane.
Now, Luna doesn't require initial orders.
Sure.
We do them anyway.
Sure. I mean, that's the thing. You could do it with FOCs, but
Yeah.
like, if someone's not even an FOC publisher, why are you not initial ordering them? How is that supposed to work for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to do it for DC or Marvel or whatever, fine.
Technically, every publisher has an order cutoff for their book.
Yeah, technically.
And, for example, when we were looking at the numbers for By the Horns #1, we did that podcast. I did that podcast with Marcus and Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to know when the best time to release it was, because initial orders were due last week of December. Well, the drop dead order for retailers was a week later.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not on FOC. So I was referring to, like the FOC number, but that's the date, the FOC date.
Are they not on FOC? I think they are now.
They weren't at the time.
Okay.
And the point is, FOC is you can go up or down with your numbers, your
Right.
final order cutoffs, but this was just the last that you could order.
Yeah, the order increase cutoff.
So the Jason and Marcus were referring to it as like, well, the date they gave us was this date. Well, that's initial order date. There's still an order cutoff date, but to make it easier, we just ignored the second because it was only a week anyway.
Right.
But the point is, there is a different day between initial orders and order cutoff. So maybe some people wait till order cutoff.
Yeah, but even then, like, I mean, Diamond has basically always said, like, if it's not an FOC publisher, like, you are going, like, if it's an item that is not something you FOC, it is going to be filled in the order that those orders come in.
Yeah, and
like,
all those orders are considered. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking initial orders.
No.
If you go past initial order, everything you do is considered reorder.
Yeah, but even then, like, if something's on new to order, and
Yeah.
then it's in the initial order catalog, and then it's on order increase cutoff, like, those are 3 different tiers. So if you ordered on the initial catalog, and someone else ordered it a month earlier on new to order, and there's an allocation, the new to order people are going to get theirs first, and then the initial order people are going to get theirs, and then the order increase cutoff people are going to get theirs. Like, that's the order it goes in. How they specifically allocate within those things, I don't know, but I mean, they've said that with, like, toys and stuff like that, where if you've waited until it's in the catalog, you might not get it.
Well, there's been times when there's a thing that I know you personally want for yourself, I'll be like, hey, this thing is on new to order. And you're like, no, I'll wait and get it, however.
If it's like an import toy or something, like when the Masterpiece figures come out for Transformers, I always do those on new to order. I would generally do the Kamen Rider stuff as well, but the fill rates on that are absolutely terrible. I've stopped doing it for Diamonds.
I'd be like, hey, look at this new to order thing.
Usually if it's like a graphic novel or something.
Yeah.
Like something like that. That I'm not as interested in, but if it's something that I feel like is limited or I want to lock my orders in, then I will do it through new to order. And it's pretty much just Transformers Masterpiece figures now because they are high-end collectibles.
La-di-da.
That's mostly because I want to get them at wholesale.
Is it,
if I had to get them retail, I wouldn't buy them.
You play with them, you transform with them with your pinkies out?
I do, yeah, under really subdued lighting. With some...
Lord Megatron, we must find more energon for our Constructicons.
Thank you. That's good. That's a good Starscream.
I literally forgot which Transformer I said first of all.
Actually, that would have been Shockwave.
So
maybe?
I couldn't remember if I needed to say Autobots or Decepticons.
It's pretty good.
So that's why I paused.
It's a pretty good.
Because I literally forgot 5 seconds later which robot I had said that I was talking to.
The original animated series Shockwave voice was based on David Warner, and that's a little bit David Warner there. So I'm going to think of that as Shockwave.
Here's something that sent shockwaves through me this week, and I hesitate to mention it because there's no constructive goal to this conversation.
Okay.
It's just me
complaining,
ranting about how much I hate the landlord for our closed location.
Is that what that fourth thing is? I couldn't make that out at first, and I'm like, I think I know what that says.
That's because it's tinged with anger. We still have 6 months to go of paying rent on that spot before our obligation to that landlord is done, and we can disavow any knowledge of.
So excited about that.
And I mean, there's still other things we're paying off, but that's the big one.
That's the big one.
And
for all the people who are like, "Oh, how's everything going?" It's like, "Oh, financially terrible because we are dragging this anchor of this other store. So no matter how well we do in Bucktown, doesn't matter." Still underwater.
So we know rent is due the first of the month. Midway through the previous month, they usually send us an invoice, and I will print that out and fold that up in the envelope and send our check off. Around Christmas, when mail was really bad, like over the history of us paying rent at the store, like every third month, a check just goes missing. One of the things that makes it difficult is that the address for the office of that building isn't that building's address. It's a different street. It's a whole, it's basically, if you were looking for that address on a map, you'd never find it.
Yeah.
It is a thing that doesn't exist. Now, in the back alley of that location, behind a locked gate, there's a drop box where you could drop things off if the gate isn't locked. You also, when working in that location, wouldn't want to drop a check off because going into the office means, they're going to talk to you and you're not going to get out. You can't just walk in, drop it off, and go back to your store. You got to block out how long would you get trapped for?
Like 10 minutes.
Right, and that's 10 minutes you don't want to be there because you should be at your store.
Yeah.
So you just want to go to the drop box and drop it off, but half the time the gate was locked. So we would just mail the check, but the check would frequently go missing. We've had to stop payment on multiple checks because they just go missing. This most recent one for March, mailed it February. Now, here's where my records are a little off, Dal. I kept telling everybody it was February 22nd.
Yes.
It was actually February 23rd.
Oh my God.
I know.
I knew it. I knew it. God. Made
So
me a liar.
February 23rd, we mailed that check. They never got it. Now, they would never say, yes, we got it, no, we didn't. It would just get deducted from our account. So I would check the account, and there'd be times where I'm like, man, I can't believe they haven't gotten it. The next day, it's deducted.
Yeah.
So, fine. We learned to wait.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wait. And usually, if they didn't get it by, we say rent is due on the 1st. It's the 1st, but they always give everybody to the 5th.
Sure. That's pretty standard.
So on the 5th, they haven't gotten it, they'll message you. 5th that came and went this month, we didn't get anything. It wasn't until this Tuesday, which would have been the 9th,
okay,
that we got an email from someone we've never dealt with before, who's the property manager.
I mean, we probably have at some point.
I have not.
No? Okay.
Oh, trust me, I looked.
Okay. Because he definitely made it sound like... Anyway.
Saying that they haven't gotten rent and we haven't responded to the previous email about not getting rent.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately wrote back and said, hey, we mailed it on this date and we never got a previous email saying you didn't get it, nor did we get the usual invoice that usually comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So he got back to us later in the day and said, yeah, we figured it was the mail or something like that. Like, perfectly reasonable, perfectly, hey, we get it. You know, is there something, can you drop it off? Can you set an electronic transfer?
Yeah, and like this is on a Wednesday.
Tuesday.
I remember having a conversation, I want to say it was on Wednesday, because you were ringing somebody up.
Oh, his follow-up
Yeah.
would have been the Wednesday.
The phone call was on Wednesday.
The phone call, yeah, okay. The initial emails from him were Tuesday.
Yeah. So Wednesday, he called, and it was basically, like, totally, like, this is a totally understandable situation. How do we move forward with this? Like, can you drop it off? And, like, basically it was, on Wednesday, it was like, can you drop it off by Friday? I'm like, you know, we're going to be out sort of in the area on Thursday. Like, we'll see what we can do about dropping it off. If we can't drop it off by Friday, we will notify you, and then we'll let you know when you can expect the check. And we dropped it off then Thursday. Like, the next day.
Right.
We dropped the check off. Because this is something where it's like, by this point, yeah, the check is late, and we want to address the situation. So he asked us to stop payment on the first check. We did. To drop off a second check. We did. And then...
Well, one of the things they'd said is, hey, this really doesn't work, but... And I'm all for any payment service we can pay online.
Sure.
We pay rents right online. I wish we could pay the recording studio fees online.
Yeah.
But they only accept Zelle. And Zelle is a specific function of, I think it's Chase who owns it, but it's available. But every bank has different rules for Zelle. So we have a daily transfer limit of $1,000 on Zelle and a monthly transfer limit of $5,000 on Zelle. So if you have more than $5,000 you need to transfer in a month, you can't use Zelle. So we already have a prior, and I'll say more important commitment that we pay on Zelle, making it so we cannot pay Blue's rent using Zelle.
Right.
And that is the only form of electronic payment that they take.
Yep.
And I've explained that to them numerous times because we deal with a woman who works in their office, we deal with the owner of the building, and now this third person. Anyway, as Dal said, we told them we'll drop it off. Thursday, we drop it off at about 3 o'clock. And then we had to go back to the store. So we're at Red. I noticed there's a message from that morning that hadn't been listened to. So listen to it. And it's somebody from that building. From the offices of the landlord.
Right.
And there's the number they left, we called back. And at first it rang forever, then it was a fax line. Then I called back, it rang forever again, and no one answered. So then I switched to, I switched phones. I switched to my cell phone. Or did I switch to the store phone? Whichever, I was on one phone, then I switched to the other. That time, it answers with the man just going, hello? Like, yeah, this is Patrick calling from Challengers Comics. Hold on. Then I'm transferred to the owner of the building. And she says, yes. I'm like, yeah, this is Patrick from Challengers. I said, this is Patrick from Challengers? Yeah. Returning a call. We got a call from someone. Returning the call. Yeah, well, we want to know when you're going to give your rent. Okay, well, we dropped it off like 20 minutes ago. It's not like we were told we had till Friday. We dropped it off already.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, well, also, and then launches into this diatribe about how they have to chase us down for rent every single month, and it's always this way with us, and we should just pay it electronically like everybody else does. The mail sucks. The mail is terrible. And by the way, that was a quote. And it just goes on, and more importantly, she doesn't believe that we didn't get the emails. And after I got that email from that guy, I went back and searched. I searched just their, the email address, because all their emails come from one address. I just searched that, and we hadn't gotten anything since January.
Yep.
So it's a moot point because we knew it was coming up and we sent the check anyway, just without the invoice attached to it.
Even if we had gotten the invoice, it would have been like, well, we sent the check, so we're not going to do anything.
Right.
Like, at that point, we'd already, a week earlier, had mailed the check. So,
But claims that the, hey, your rent is late email that we never got was a mass email sent to a bunch of people, and they all got it, and accused me of blocking them from my email box. And just like such an angry old grandmother screaming at you, and then just working herself up. And like Dal especially knows that all I wanted to do, like if there's someone in the store who's screaming at people, I just get super calm and very polite. But with her, I just wanted to start swearing so bad. And it's like, first of all, you're wrong. Second of all, you're calling me names.
Yeah, this is not helpful.
Yeah.
Like, this is not resolving the problem.
You already got your money.
Yeah. You just want to be angry.
This isn't... And then I'm trying to say, I've already stopped payment on the previous check. Don't try to... And, like, every time I try to bring up the check that has already been sent, because, like, we had a check for somebody else go missing, and it was mailed the same day as one of the rent checks. This was one of the blue checks, and this was around Christmas. So we took care of that. 2 weeks later, they messaged us and said, hey, your check came today. I just destroyed it. Blue has never done that. Blue has never said, oh, we got that check finally, or whatever.
Right.
Like, I just think there's a level of courtesy, like, or just like, guess what showed up?
Yeah.
Or like, look at this. A month and a half later.
Yeah.
They never do things like that.
Nope.
So I just wanted to reiterate, like, that check has already been canceled. And she was cutting me off at every turn. And it's just incredibly frustrating because this is supposed to be a business partner.
Yeah, I mean, not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, this is someone who has really never shown us anything other than...
disdain? Complete utter disdain?
Kind of. Like, from day one, it's been her doing us a giant favor, and it's like, I don't know that was the case.
Well, one of my favorite things was once the shutdown happened and the pandemic happened, and we went to them saying, hey, this store has to be closed for as long as the city makes it, a thing. We're not going to have any income. What can we do? And it was I knew you were undercapitalized to begin with. I knew I should never have rented to you. Then why did you?
Yeah.
If we were such a bad investment for you, why would you?
Also, this is something we're saying when we're saying, like, this is her response to us when we're saying, we have to close a business that we opened less than 4 months ago because there is a global pandemic. And her response was, basically, there's a global pandemic, but you guys are failing because you're failures.
Right, and when we say...
Thanks.
When we went to them and
lady.
said we need to close, we weren't saying we're shutting down and not reopening. We're saying, like, at that point, we weren't, like, we didn't make the decision to close that store until June. This was in March.
We had two discussions with them. The first was we cannot pay rent because we cannot, like, operate our business according to the city of Chicago. And that was when they started to then basically tell all the other tenants, like, okay, well, we're just going to we're not going to charge you for 2 months, but we're going to take those 2 months and we're going to tack those onto the end of your lease. And then within like a month or so, we started to realize, oh no, this is forever. Like, we are not, like, when we had gone to her was before we were allowed to reopen, and it was when you'd hurt your leg. And so it was basically, here's the situation, lady. Like, it was,
the store had been closed for a month and a half.
Yeah, we physically cannot operate 2 locations right now. I don't feel comfortable taking public transit because there is a global pandemic. And at the time, it was no one really knew what the best strategy was other than do not be around people. And it's like, I can't be on buses and trains to get to someplace multiple times a week. That feels incredibly unsafe. And then on top of that, like, look, this spot doesn't work anymore because everyone is working from home indefinitely. So it was like basically our entire business model has changed. we cannot operate the store. What do we need to give you to make this right with you to leave that spot? And the answer was, you guys are failures.
The pandemic had nothing to do with it.
The pandemic has nothing to do with it. You're terrible businessmen. You're awful at your jobs. It was a huge mistake for her to even rent to us. You can leave if you pay off the entire lease in full.
You owe me $264,000.
Yeah. So that was a fun conversation to have that basically set the tone for everything going forward for the next 9 months, which was, she 1,000% does not care about us at all, and there's no sense of, like, humanity there. It is just a pure financial transaction, and it is her wringing every conceivable dime out of us that she possibly can.
After bragging to you that the Starbucks on the corner signed a 30-year lease.
Sure. Yeah, and they're doing gangbusters renting that spot, by the way, the spot that we vacated.
Yeah. They, multiple, and I realize this is just part of the game, multiple retail agents told us how many people were interested in that spot and how they had multiple offers, but the landlords turned them all down because they wanted something new and fresh and exciting.
Yep.
And that's us.
Yep.
And then they specifically told our attorney when we were negotiating to get out of that space that while we can stop paying rent once they rent it out, don't worry, they've already have several people interested. And this was back in October.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's 100% lies. And even our attorney brought that back to me like, yeah, they've got people interested. I'm like, come on.
They do not have anyone.
Come on.
October in 2020, they don't have anyone interested. And they still don't.
Like, the optimism in his voice, I'm like, I don't... Like, how... Are they just placating your ego? Like, how does this work?
It's just lies. I mean, it's just blatant lies.
So, I mean, it's just a stupid phone call in a long line of stupid phone calls.
Yeah.
But it's just a bunch of shit that I had to eat that...
Yeah.
All they've ever done is given us more and more shit to eat while telling us they're doing us the favor.
Yep. Yeah, like, I wasn't even on that phone call, and it was like, I desperately want to be out of that spot. I want nothing more to do with that woman for the rest of my life.
And then...
and it's funny because we had a thing where once we were getting that spot back in 2019... we looked at the name of the building owner. Just curiosity. Just a ton of negative Yelp reviews.
Not as a landlord.
Not as a landlord.
As in their previous profession.
Yeah, and also someone who was weirdly litigious, I think we also found.
Yeah. And lost every time.
Yeah.
And then some shady city government dealings. Like, I remember going to you and saying, should we try to get out of this? You're like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah, no, fun person to be in business with. I mean, frankly, she's the worst landlord we've had, but she's not an unusual landlord to have had.
Sure. But we're working with a different business professional on a different aspect of our business. And when that situation was explained to them, he had said, well, you should, like, get out of there. I'm like, no, we're trying. We have got 6 more months to go. And he said, yeah, but that deal was negotiated 6 months ago. This is 6 months later. It's an entirely different world. If you want, we can go back at this for you. And I thought, she's so vindictive. If we try this, I don't even know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, part of me is like that was one of the reasons why, even when we were given a deal that was way worse than we wanted, way worse, it was still like, man, we literally do not have the money to take this thing to court and see how long it takes to win it.
And also, saying yes to this gives us an end date on the calendar.
Right.
That is not 5 years from now.
Yeah. I mean, the joke is, like, if we would have bundled together the money that we ended up paying her, it could have been like, if we can get someone to give us payment plans as a lawyer, maybe it's better to get out of this. And that was the thing, is like, when you had said that this guy's like, we can look at this again, it's like, well, we already know what we have to pay for the next 6 months of this.
Yeah.
If he's going to cost less than that to get out of it, sure, yes, that's a deal. I'd rather give that guy the money than give the landlord the money.
Sure. This is not an attorney, though, in any way.
Right, but I mean, I don't know if it needs an attorney. It might not. Like, it's not clear what the next step is. But anyway, long story short, having to deal with the landlord at Blue is somehow an unceasing nightmare. For a store that we vacated almost a year ago, for a thing that we've been on a payment plan for the last 5 months, somehow we still have horrible dealings with her. Somehow.
Yeah. I'd say we haven't set foot in that store in 6 months, but that's not true. In December, I stopped in. I just wanted to make sure that they didn't change the heat settings.
Sure.
Because we're still paying utilities.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't want them like cranking this up to 90 degrees
Sure.
just to fuck with us.
Sure.
So I stopped in then once, and they hadn't. It was still
That's
fine.
great. Yeah.
But I was fully expecting like pipes to freeze, and that'd be our fault or
Yeah,
whatever.
some sort of damage that would occur because of the wintertime.
And Dal had a good idea about getting some use out of that space while we still have it, but I don't want anything to do with that, to being in there.
No, for sure. And I don't remember what that was. Was it the thing for your storage space?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, at this point, I don't.
It was a good idea. It just...
Yeah, and it was, I want to say it was also back in like June or July where there was a sense of like, oh, Patrick's Lug will be better anytime now, and then we can do this.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, then it was months of that's not happening, and then other stuff happened, and now it's just like, we just don't have the bandwidth for it.
Because we're coming up on a year since the shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
It made me go back and look through some employee records, and it's been over a year that either Ashley or Samantha has worked the retail shift for us.
Yeah.
Well over a full year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sam did 2 days of help with special projects.
Sure.
In that time. Ashley has not.
Well, she's promised to. Does that count? Half credit?
So I look ahead and I'm like, I wonder, like, this whole year, I've been thinking, like, well, they'll come back. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, when the shutdown had first happened and people who'd worked with us had said, you know, I don't feel comfortable coming in.
Well, I want to point out that both of them said that before the shutdown happened.
Sure. Once the pandemic was sort of rolling around.
Yeah.
And people were like, I don't know if I feel comfortable working in a retail environment. Because, again, early days, no one really knew how it was being transmitted. There was a lot of, you know, there were different things that were being said and different, like, solutions. And there was a lot of nervousness and not a lot of procedures in place to alleviate that nervousness. So people were like, I don't know if I want to come in. And, you know, we were like, fine, don't worry about it. Do what you feel is right for yourself. We're not going to judge you on that. Like, you're not fired or whatever. Like, if you need a leave of absence, you need a leave of absence. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, it's reaching a point where it's like, we have people who have not worked for us who don't know how to work the new register system.
Yeah.
Because it's been in the store for longer than they've been last in the store. I mean, if you've not worked at a place for a year, I don't know you're going to be like, all right, now I'm back to the routine. Like, your routine is not working, man.
Yeah. And also, one of them has kept up on what's happening in comics.
Uh-huh.
And since then, we have someone new.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the larger problem is, like, you know, for the people who've taken time off, it's like, well, the store had to keep running.
Yeah.
So we had to get people to fill in for them. And now it's like, so do I kick the people who filled in loose, who have been coming in and helping out, in favor of the people who didn't? Like, I don't want to be a jerk about it. Like, I don't want to be mean to anybody, but yeah, there's going to have to be someone where it's like, there is nothing here for you anymore.
Well, yeah, this may be the typical Challengers thing of factoring in worst case scenario when those situations all come up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're having a discussion about, like, what happens when they come back? What if they don't want to? Like, we're making a real big assumption that, like, someone's going to be like, now it's over and I'm ready to come back to Challengers.
And to be fair, we've had one person, not those two, volunteer to come back, but we'd said, you know what, at this point, everyone who's not working for us, wait till you're vaccinated.
Yeah.
The rest of us, we've been doing it the whole time. We'll still take our chances. Those of you who've been away, don't risk it now.
Yeah. Good point.
Wait till you get your vaccines. So there. We know we were going to talk about a fun thing we did this week, but we've gone long enough. So thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
Want to redo that one?
No.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, Follow @Challengers on Twitter and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.